background, crew, associates, hate, whatever you guys are in the spectrum, welcome today to today's Myth Lab. And this is a good one. This is going to be a fun one for me because I'm going to kind of step down memory lane a little bit. Like, this will give me a great opportunity to do some pretty intensive breakdowns for you guys here this week. So I'm gonna fully take advantage of it, of our time that we have right now. Okay. So, hang on one sec, just getting that all situated here. And I'm trying to get my camera on. Give me one sec here and get this. Okay, so with the new movie, the new He-Man movie coming out, I thought this was a great time to kind of turn the clock back a little bit and, just kind of trip off of some of these like classic 80s movies, right? He-Man, Thundercats, right? Thundarr, like kind of trip off it. I'm just going to set up Thundercats. Thundarr. I'm just setting up the TikTok stream for this as well, right? So 80s cartoons. I'm a slow typist, man. I saw this friend of mine, and her typing skills are just like next level, man. Like, I felt so slow and mentally incapacitated next to someone who could type at that skill set, right? So anyway, getting into the party, today we are going to talk about these classic 80s cartoons. Remember I said that I just saw the new trailer that the new He-Man's gonna come out, and just for like a backstory to this, like an understanding, right? Like I never mess with He-Man. It wasn't my bag. Now I have some friends. If some of my friends were gonna watch the stream later, some of my friends were super into it. They were heavily into He-Man, and I wasn't, man. Like I never had like a He-Man collectible. Like, I really didn't have a lot of collectible figures. I didn't really do that. I mean, I thought they were cool at the time, but I was still more into trucks and like Jeep. Like I love the vehicles, right? So I had the General Lee, which I can't believe my family let me have that. I don't know what you guys are paying attention to, or again, not paying attention to. And again, we're going to talk about I talked about Generation X, and this is important because we're talking about the mythology and culture that came out of this period of time. Like, so it's very specific who we're talking about, right? And I like it to be known, like, who actually did all this stuff. Like, so when we're talking about, the 80s and the 90s, like, we're essentially talking about our parents, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, our parents were the ones who were innovating all this stuff. It was the boomers generation, right? Who did all this stuff. It wasn't us. It wasn't anybody else. This was the boomer generation who was doing all this stuff here, right? So let's put the blame where the blame should go in terms of like, why do people be acting crazy? And I think like, man, why is this not working? Facebook might not get a stream because I don't know why. Okay, let's cancel it. Okay, well, let's see if you want to stream. I don't know if you want to stream or not, but let's see. Let's get a good title in here. So again, like, I talk about a couple of movies that are central to understanding the boomers. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you want to understand our parents' generation, go watch Scarface, okay? Go watch some Miami Vice, right? And that'll give you a good, and then watch the movie Cocaine Bear. And the reason I'm circulating all this stuff is because if you go back, watch all these movies, a lot of cocaine use going on, okay? This is what was fueling the generation that was bringing this up. So when you talk about Gen X, right, I'm not going to allow conversations about Gen X to happen without quantifying it and by saying that we're the least parented generation of children ever, right? Like, this is historically documented that wasn't nobody watching us, okay? That's what was going on, okay? That's why they call us like feral children. Literally. I told my mother this and she got mad, right? She's like, what do you mean you're feral children? I'm like, we're feral kids. I don't know what you guys are doing. We do know what you guys are doing. You guys are going back to work. This was the birth of the two parent home, right? This is like the two family income, right? This is where it all came out of, right? Was this era. So we can't really blame our families for this, but we gotta like hold them accountable for it. Because you guys were doing a lot of stuff that was not central to good parenting, okay? And not to say that our shows were bad parenting. I'm just saying we can look at some of these shows and to get what was going on at these shows, we really got to look at it, right? You guys know my motto is always this, right?
You got to understand who Killer the dog was.
That's a big thing, man. That's what we want to do. We want to understand who Killer the dog was. To understand Killer, you got to understand who Killer the dog was. So this is where we at this morning, right? We're just in let's understand who Killer the dog was mode. And so we start off by looking at a couple of these worlds. Now, I'm gonna preface this by giving you some historical, some OG like, time construction around this, right? Because none of this stuff really means anything if you don't have, a sense of the time period that was going on. So this is the 80s, right? This is it. This is a glory time. I'm telling you, man, this is a mystical decade, right? If you missed out on the 80s, sorry. You're never going to get anything that's like the 80s again. The 60s kind of have that distinction. They had a lot worse stuff going on in the 60s, right? Like the 80s, we got some bad stuff too. I'm not going to say that, but as a child, a lot of this stuff, like AIDS was a big thing in the 80s. Like I was a kid. I mean, I heard about it. Really didn't mean that much to me, right? Like geopolitics really didn't mean that much to me. The super big gulp, though, that's something that was transforming to my life, right? Like the super big gulp is the reason I'm trying to lose weight right now. Like somebody decided in the early 80s that like, let's sell soda in a tub, right? These kids will be okay. Again, it was a boomer. Again, it was some boomer salesman who was working down at like fountain drink company. It's like, man, I can be making a lot more money, man, if I could just get them some big old quantities. So they gave us these big giant gallon jugs, right? They weren't quite a gallon yet. And you go get a soda. We were the first children who could do this. And let me tell you, there was literally a, what was it? Was it AM PM? It was like AM PM or something like that. Was on my route to school. So the route that I had to take walking to school past an AM PM, right? So, I mean, come on, man. We kids. It's video game culture. It's all that stuff, right? So we're going in, right? We're going in on it. All right. So this is the backdrop under which all these shows start to come out. And the first one will be Thundarr. I'm going to talk about Thundarr last just because it's last on my list. So we're saying Thundarr in 1980. We're saying, let's see. Okay. Thundarr was 1980. I think He-Man's 1983 and the Thundercats was 1985, right? So this is kind of what's going on. So when He-Man comes out, again, it's the start of the decade. Excuse me, Thundarr. Thundarr was the first one, even though I'm talking about it last. When Thundarr came out, man, like this is the defining of a decade, right? Like this is the first defining factor of a decade, and we're hitting it with Thundarr, right? So I'm gonna center it just so like when I do the cutouts, I can see where I'm going. So this comes out in 1980. This is a major political energy. Like this is a post-apocalyptic war. The United States had anxiety just everywhere. We were just riddled with anxiety, right? At this point, right? Because there's so much stuff going on in this 80s, right? The economy had just had a major stress, inflation. Like I remember that time, like it did jack things up for kids. There are fears about energy. We just come out of this weird like thing where you couldn't get gas every day. Like kids, you don't know about this stuff. But there's like we don't really know about it either, except as children. But ask your grandparents, right? And they'll tell you about an era where you had certain days where you could go get gas. So you better make that gas last, right? There were no hoarding gas and things like that. So this is what was going on. So Thundarr is basically a story about human or civilizational collapse. Like it's this world, but everything got jacked up. So you get this mix of like monsters and like future tech and magic, right? But civilization itself is kind of like collapsed. And we just kind of have like remnants left, right? So this is clearly post-apocalyptic world, which I'm sure this is kind of like central to when did Mad Max come out? Let me see. Let me get a viewpoint on that too. Like when did, I'm going to open another window. I'm not going to do it here because I want to keep those stats. I want to figure out when Mad Max came out, because we started getting to like a post-apocalyptic concerns early. When did, God damn you, when did Mad Max come out? So Mad Max, yeah, this is 1979. Remember, this was an Australian flick. So 79, Mad Max comes out. So it really hits the U.S. This is an Australian film, so it doesn't really hit here until like 1980, right? So it comes out 79, hits here in 1980. Mad Max 2 comes out in 81. Thunderdome is in 85. So this is kind of the core. I know we'll revisit it in 2015 and 2024, but this is the core of like, it's an apocalypse coming, right? That's the height of apocalypse time. This is where Thundarr comes out, and again, this is like this savaged world, right? So there's some technology, some stuff is still iconic, right? Also, you had Star Wars. They call it Episode 5 now, but that would have been The Empire Strikes Back. So that would have been the second one. Also came out in 1980, right? And again, remember me as a child, we don't have the internet, right? And we don't know when stuff's coming. You guys get game teases and all this stuff all the time. You guys know about all the new shows. You guys know about all the new bootleg snacks coming out. We didn't know. We had to live on this show my brother called the news, right? That's how we got our stuff. We had to read magazines, all right? And let me tell you, these things were not always up to date on what was going on, right? So I remember The Empire Strikes coming out back this year, which is a darker Star Wars. Heroes lose, right? It's a darker thing. Flash Gordon comes out during this year, right? So we got a lot. Like Pac-Man is cracking off right now, right? So there's a lot of good stuff kid-wise going on, and this is the environment that Thundarr's jumping into. And Thundarr, for me, jumped right into it like at the highest level, man. Like I never had to back up off of Thundarr at all. Like Thundarr just felt great to me, and I think they only got like one actual season of Thundarr. But I'm telling you, man, it was groundbreaking, man. Like Thundarr just, and I'm sure like Schwarzenegger, man, let's check this one too. Wait, no, I don't want to do it here. Again, I'm trying to keep my screens together. Okay. When did Schwarzenegger's Conan come out? Because I think that was like 81 as well. I think it had to be like 81. Let's see if 82, right? Okay, so the Conan the Barbarian comes out in 82. So you can see this was a good era. Like Beastmaster was out. There was a lot of like this type of character that was out at this time, like Thundarr. And this is my OG right now. So this is what's going on when Thundarr comes out. Okay, the second one that we talked about is obviously the topic of this is He-Man. And like He-Man, man, like this, I'm telling you, man, He-Man. This was all about like a booming economy, right? We got a booming economy, and this is 83 when this comes out. This is the peak of both like fantasy, action, and like optimism. This was not the dark world of Thundarr, right? Like we weren't worrying about stuff all the time, right? This was like our heroes were more, because our heroes got softer. The heroes and the villains got a little bit softer. Because if you go watch Thundarr, man, the villains are like scientists, like mad scientists, and like people who are really trying to take over. They make Skeletor look like Skeletor would not, measure up, right? So, so when this comes out, we talk in 1983. This is Reagan era America, right? This is Reagan era America. So, the economy, for some people, the economy was just booming. It was going insane, right? Again, cocaine is a hell of a drug, right? Like cocaine is a hell of a drug. And this is a lot of what was going on in the 80s, okay? So you have all this money. You have all this excess, like Reagan era was known for a lot of excess because the top was really like super heavy. The bottom was broke, but the top was like really heavy with like money. And we were seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I remember going to my homie's house, man, and he had actual like arcade game in his house. Okay. This is like 80, 81. Like this is unheard of. This is unheard of that you have a full, and I'm trying to remember what game it was. Man, I can't remember what game he actually had. But whatever. He had a full-on video game like plugged into his house, like playing video game at his house. We would go by his house you can imagine his house was packed every single morning. And his house was literally like 3 blocks away from our elementary school, right? So this is on my normal route. Like you can see my route is I'm gonna hit past this. Well, if I went to the AM PM, that kind of took me away from his house, so I come up on the other side of the block. So either we were gonna go over there or we were gonna go play some video games. Like those were the two routes, right? So anyway, his house got a lot of attention. I don't think you guys have to guess that. This is because this is really for like any console games are really like heavily out. Like even at that time, like nobody really has console games. So this is the backdrop of when He-Man comes out, right? So the economy has changed. Like, you know, heroes are different. Like it's different characters, right? Like this is now they moved on to Return the Jedi is back. Like Scarf again. This is what was big in culture, and this is when we talk about them damn boomers, man. We got to remember all this stuff. Like Scarface was on the pump scene. Oh, the Nintendo had just really launched in Japan. So we're at the precipice of like video gaming systems. So this is what's going on in the 80s, man. Like I'm telling you, it wasn't a bad time. And so that gives us like a different kind of world, right? We have a completely different world. Now that He-Man's entered, like it's still a magical world. You get mystical like landscapes and all this stuff. You got Castle Grayskull is like the iconic location. Like this is what's going on. So this is built on like coming out of some heavy. Like I feel like this is more pure fantasy world, like what you see with a Masters of the Universe. And then by the time the Thundercats come out, like we're kind of at the height of it. We're feeling a little bit more Cold War-ism. Technological optimism is really booming. This is the time that gives us the Thundercats. So we're kind of back to like, you know, the storytelling gets a little, like the storytelling progressively gets softer if we look at each of these versions, right? Each of these like franchises here. Like Thundarr was a lot more hardcore. Like even if you watch it now, Thundarr is a lot more. Like, I understand a lot more watching Thundarr as an adult than I did watching Thundarr as a kid. Because of, like, him talking about locations, talking about technology, just, like, some of the themes of it are a lot more adult. They're not, like, adult in, like, you know, bow, chicka, wow, wow, nothing like that, right? But it's just more, like, adult themes. Whereas Castle Grayskull and, you know, that whole He-Man thing, it's far more, you know, because when you start getting, like, you know, some of the softer characters, right? Like he had his alter ego, which was the prince, and like the Battle Cat character was they were kind of bumbling characters, like kind of your Jar Jar Binks. This is the earliest inklings of the Jar Jar Binks. What came out of this era, right? And you look at so we go from like Thundarr being the Earth after Great Cataclysm, civilization has collapsed. He-Man is actually an ancient magical world that's still standing. It has strongholds of power locked in this eternal conflict, whereas Thundercats is another post-collapse world of survivors. It's a new civilization that rises from these ruins, right? Remember, they crash land. They're the remnants of their civilization, the Thundercats themselves, right? So they're kind of refugees, and they're kind of carrying the last of their, like, hope with them. Like, you know, so it changes like the dynamics of it. You know, He-Man, it's more these mystical landscapes, enchanted forests, these towering mountains, hidden kingdoms. Thundercats is more oceans, alien skies, ancient ruins, reclaimed wilderness. Because even the planet they're on, like this planet has been inhabited, but not by them, right? So this is like they're in discovery mode. They understand technology and to a degree magic, but like, I mean, obviously you guys are doing, you know, space travel. And the same thing with Thundarr. The environment, it's a lot of like, you know, it's wastelands. Like the earth has been jacked up, right? Mutilated jungles, like you have some toxic swamps. You have some straight up radioactive areas. So this is very early after like the overall, destruction of culture, at least of our culture, right? So this is what you're seeing in these various, and this is just a 5-year span in the 80s of what these guys, you know, were coming out with. And we see a lot of diversity, kind of giving us that same look, but you know, it's just a different feel to it, kind of in each one. So so each of these, like civilization wise, like I want to raise this up so you guys can see it's behind my head here. It's civilization, like you know, obviously with this, they have some great locations in, you know, obviously in He-Man, you got Castle Grayskull, Eternity, you got Snake Mountain, you got this forest. In Thundercats, you got the Cat's Lair, you got the pyramids, you got the like their vehicles, you got the Eye of Thundarr, the Black Pyramids. You have a lot of like iconography there, and you know, of course, in Thundarr, you got the Citadel, you have the Wizard Stronghold, you have these mutant enclaves. So there's always, you know, something, and it changes very quickly in Thundarr as well, from block to block, right? It's like walking through LA, man. Like walk through downtown LA. It used to be that way. It's probably not like that anymore. You used to walk through LA and it was like a whole different culture and community. From like every like 3 blocks it would change over, right? Like one, it's a slew of like, you know, you might have Chinese here, you might have Jamaican, you might have Armenian. Like it was that granular. It's a beautiful experience, by the way. So this is kind of what we see now. The mood, I say, of Thundarr is much darker. You know, He-Man gets to be the heroic fantasy film, I think, in a more pure fashion. And the Thundercats is kind of, it's still an epic, like, because a couple of the characters, like, this is kind of something. Let me see if I can find a couple of images to bring this up. Who were like the major kind of kiddie or buffoonish characters in He-Man and in the Thundercats? I call these characters like your Jar Jar Binks kind of characters, and they always signal to me that you're going for, you know, a more kind of juvenile audience, right? Yeah, let me see if I can find some images of these. Like, can you go online and find a couple of images of? Find me an image of Snarf. Yeah, find me an image of Cringer as well. Because these characters, because I remember first seeing even like the previews for He-Man or Thundercats. I remember seeing the Thundercats previews, and back then we had to watch movie trailers. Like whenever we went online. You hear me, guys? I just said whenever we didn't go online to watch movies at all. So whenever we would go out and rent a movie, and again, this is early in renting movies, right? 1980s is, if you're renting movies in 1980s, you were kind of doing your damn thizzle, because we weren't renting a lot of movies in 1980. That was like, even access to going out and renting movies, that wasn't an easy thing in the 80s. There were not even a lot of video stores around. So when we got movies, you know, and you would have them, you know, over a weekend, like usually set them up, you can like rent them for a couple of days, right? Oh, where am I trying to go with this? I don't even know what I'm doing here. Oh, like, you know, you have your movies for a couple of days, and of course you're gonna bring them back. So we paid attention when we had that movie, man. If you got a rental, you probably gonna watch that bad boy, you know, over a weekend. I'm gonna watch it like 3 times. If it's a good movie, I'm trying to watch it every single day. Like usually get a couple of movies. I'm watching the movies, you know, 2 or 3 times. So we watched every part of it, including like the trailers. And I remember seeing the trailer for Thundercats, and it was hard. Fuck, man. Like I was excited. I was hyped. And again, we don't have an overabundance of shows like this at this time. So me being hyped for this is extremely predictable, right? I was hyped. But then they always slide this character in here, man. Like this goofy character. I kind of call him like, you know, you Jar Jar Binks to me, man. And I didn't like Jar Jar Binks either. Even as a kid, you know, I would say as a kid, we were still in a more, you know, much more hardcore characters than what this was at this time. But, you know, this is what it was. So this was my disappointment when I saw He-Man, and what they give you was Snarf and this version of Cringer. What was his name? Cringer? Or something like Cringer. You have cringe in your name. Who would even name you that, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, even if I saw you doing that as a child, I wouldn't label you Cringer. That's not what I would do, right? So this is kind of what we're looking at with the characters, and they each kind of came about it a little different. And this is the thing, like He-Man had, like the Thundercats had Snarf, He-Man had, Cringer, and assorted other kind of goofy Jar Jar Binks ass characters. Thundarr didn't. right? So Thundarr to me, which is probably why it was more watchable for me as a kid, and it's definitely more a reason why it's more watchable for me as an adult, right? You know, having that like that subtle change in like, you know, this is a little more hardcore. So that's what Thundarr was. But obviously, Thundarr, you get in the movie right now. You know, Master of the Universe is getting the new movie. So some to that character, right? Clearly, they can go away from that model. Okay, so going on. So we talked about these worlds. I want to look at like their technology to really understand these worlds, because they have a lot of similarities, but obviously it gets, you know, the details is what makes all these worlds more significant. All right, wait, what's that? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I am going to talk about that. Okay. All right, good looking out. Okay. So anyway, I'm just kind of checking the chats. Anybody up in there? I'm sorry, guys. I'm so bad at checking the chats, but I'm trying to do better, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dealing with it right now. Okay. And my mouth is a little bit dry. Let me just go ahead and get a little sip right now. Okay, so if you look at the three worlds, they kind of say something, you know, strong about each world, right? Eternia, it was still magic. This is mystical energy drawn from this magical dimension of Eternia. In Thundercats, you had the spiritual energy. It was harness it through like Thundarian technology, right? And they all get these abilities out of it. In Thundarr's world, man, this is scavenged technology powered by whatever. Like whatever kind of power source you could get, that's what was powering it, right? So it was inconsistent. It was all across the board. Some of it was compatible with each other. Most of it wasn't. Their style of technology, obviously you had like arcane super science in Eternia. You had this alien techno spiritual science in the Thundercats. And in Thundarr, you're dealing with scavenged, you know, like if you ran up on a Radio Shack, you were in heaven, right? Like that was going to be the spot you camped at, was Radio Shack, right? Especially if nobody got there first, right? If you guys don't know about Radio Shack, just look up Radio Shack. It's an interesting little place, right? And it was kind of cool having around at the time. If you were into like doing kooky stuff with your electronics, like me, yeah, Radio Shack was like, you know, it was a cool little spot that, you know, we don't repair or replace stuff, like we don't repair stuff like they did back, you know, we did back then. We used to like fix radios and stuff like that. If your radio is broken, man, you would figure out what was wrong with it. It could be anything like transist, anything like that. We would diagnose, not with like Chat GTP and stuff like that, like old school, like, you know, charts and stuff like that, man. Like I'm telling you, man, people would take classes learning how to repair stuff. So this is more of a Thundarr world, right? And if you look at it, like the way the mix is, Eternia, this is a lot more magic. Like there are a lot more. I'm gonna bring this up so you can just see this over my dome, right? It's a lot more magic in Eternia. Like 80% of their world is magic. Only 20% of their world is science. So that tells you a lot about it. They get a lot of their knowledge from like sorcery, from like books and tomes and archives, mystical archives, right? And they still practice a lot of like sorcery and enchantment. They've got beasts and like magical constructions. Okay. Now this world of Thundercats, it's a lot more technology, man. They work with ancient. They use the Book of Omens. A lot of it is spiritual memory, but they mix in like their own tech, so a level of their own advanced tech. Whereas Thundarr, again, these are just lost civilizations, right? So like lost civilizations, you're looking at old, you know, world libraries, wizards, right? Forbidden knowledge. Everything was forbidden knowledge. They had weapons, energy type weapons like, you know, the Sun Sword, which absorbs sunlight and unleash powerful energy blasts and will cut through anything. And mutants and potions and all. So I got a deeper mix of like crazy stuff going on in Thundarr's world. Thundarr's world is like far less magic though. Like whereas the Thundercats is probably 50-50, where you got 80-20 on, you know, He-Man's side, leaning towards magic. Thundercats is more 50-50. Thundarr's world is far more science-based, right? They don't really play as much with sorcery, although there's sorcery there. But you could depend on like traditional. These people blowing my phone. You can depend on like traditional technology in Thundarr's world. Like, you know, you probably can find a place to plug in your Okama Game Spear in Thundarr's world. Okay. So that's kind of where they are on the mix. So like different power sources, but you know, everybody's got, and which is the most powerful weapon? man, you know, this is a tough one here, man. Like, I kind of favor the Sun Sword. Obviously, He-Man's got the power sword, and this channels the power of this magical world, right? Only the worthy can hold it. Okay, that's the whole thing. With the Sword of Omens, kind of similar. It's passed down through their leaders. It enhances strength and your focus. The Sun Sword that Thundarr holds, I don't know if anyone else can wield it. Only he does. But it's a very powerful weapon as well. Cuts through your thing. So I don't know, like, overall which one is the most powerful. I'm probably going to say that it's He-Man's. But if I got to get into a fight, any fight out of these guys, I'm going with Thundarr every single way. And it's curious. Like, I just want you to point out something about He-Man that's going to be significant. Like, you notice, out of everybody here, He-Man ain't got no shirt on, right? This would be a major part of He-Man going down the road, right? Like, He-Man and the Master of the Universe was heavily like embraced by the LGBTQ community after its initial release. Like, it was obviously something that was made for children, but down the road, it became very nostalgic for men who grew up in the 80s and 90s who happened to watch this. And it is a bunch of guys running around with no shirts on all the time in weird kind of dramatic positions if you watch it, and giving long soliloquy speeches. So there's some elements there that the LGBTQ community said, we like that, and that's funny to us, so we're going to keep it alive. Maybe it's not because he was running around with no shirt on. I'm just telling you, like, if you look at Lion-O, he does. I don't know why he's got his midriff cut out here. Again, that's his style tape, but basically he has a vest shirt on. Thundarr, this seems kind of more appropriate. Thundarr is not really trying to do a fast trip, but look, you see He-Man here. You see what He-Man's got on here, right? So, again, I'm not making any judgments. I'm simply pointing out the fact that this is what He-Man was wearing, okay? And I just want to kind of hit you guys with something here. Like, when we talk about this stuff, like, we got to remember where all this stuff is coming from, right? It's coming from the 80s. This is coming from the boomers. And I'm going to talk more about the boomers. I already got this piece ready. But it was a lot of stuff that went on that the boomers introduced to us. Some of it was good in media, some of it was not. But we didn't put any part that there was a lot of cocaine going on in this area too, right? Like, all this stuff changed. Toy companies changed. Cartoon studios changed. Right? All this stuff, fast food changed. All these places, video games, all started working together to get our money, right? Like, we're going to make the toy. We're going to make the character to make a toy. And we're going to make a cartoon. And the cartoon's going to be McDonald's. Like, it was mad and serious. They're like, yeah, you can get to people's money through their kids, right? That's what they said. Get people's money to those kids. Those guys down there, they make poor decisions. They just want what they want, and they'll just scream until they get it, right? So this is what the boomers did. The boomers did this to themselves, right? The boomers didn't do it to somebody else. They did it to their neighbors' kids, right? Like, let's drive your kids crazy with all this, like, sugar. Like, let's do this. Let's perform an experiment, okay? Let's perform an experiment. Let's give your kids the most soda you could possibly have. Like, no one's ever had more soda than this, okay? And we just live, like, when you grow up in something normalized, you just normalize it, right? So this is what it was. It was just more normalized to have a giant tankard of soda, and then you just be running around crazy, right? So then we're going to get you into video games. Then we're going to get you into music. Then we're going to get you into toys and all the stuff that you've got to have. You've got more than enough energy to annoy the shit out of your parents until they go get you what you want. And lots of people did that. So a lot of my homies, like, they had the full, like, setup, right? I'm sorry, I took myself off the set here. They had the full on, like, everything, right? Like, Castle Grayskull. Like, my homies had everything. All the characters. Like I said, I wasn't into it, but they had these massive collections. At another set of homies, they had everything that Star Wars offered. So this like, you know, fast food stores and marketing and video, all this stuff was conspiring for us to be consumers. Plus, it was kind of a consumer time. It's still Reagan era. So this is a massive, like, consumer time, right? So we gotta get the flow of what's really going on here. So this is what they hitting us with. And we're eating it up. We're consuming it up. And I'm gonna talk about the 80s more later and what came out of, like, all this stuff, right? All this stuff that got engineered by them goddamn boomers, man. I'm telling you guys, nobody pays attention to the boomers. These guys are crazy. You don't know this because you didn't have to grow up living with them. We did. We saw all the stuff, like, right up close. Like, man, I'm telling you guys to drink and drive in the car. Like, literally. Like, I remember one of my like uncles, or I called him an uncle, right? Literally, like, picking up me and my mom's, right? and making a drink while he's driving. You understand? He picked up a child, and this dude loved me. As far as I could tell, we had a great relationship as family members. As far as I could tell, he loved me and I loved him, right? But I do remember him picking us up early. This is early in the morning, like at night. Not that that would be any better, but literally picking us up. And as he's driving us to wherever we're going, he's mixing drink to drive with. Okay, so that's who these cats were, man. These was different cats, and clearly what they put out was whole different stuff. So these are baby boomers. I'm telling you guys right now, really need to start paying attention. Okay, but I digress. Right, I'm not going to digress on baby boomers. In fact, I'm going to move this out of here so we can get back to talking about the show we're talking about. So we talked about so let's talk about like the real like root of why these stories exist. Like the reason we come for these stories, right? It's the stars, man. It's the dudes here, right? It's He-Man, it's Lion-O, it's Thundarr. Like, this is why we show up. This is why these guys get the big bucks, right? Because these are the ultimate heroes. Now, I'm going to start with my man Thundarr. Again, on this one here, right? Like, this was the ultimate, like, wandering warrior. This is very much the Conan, like, kind of myth, although Conan's in a different world. He doesn't have technology. He's a lone protector. He leads by his actions. He helps others without seeking power or glory. He's brave. He's resourceful. He's compassionate. He's independent. And he's very protective. He rolls with a couple of iconic allies, being Ariel, the witch, who was banging, and also Ukla, who kind of reminds me of Chewbacca, but he's a different type of species. His biggest challenges are going to be wizards, mutants, and corrupt remnants of the old world, right? The dark magic. His core theme is about survival and adaptation, and goodness can still exist in a world that's fallen. And his legacy represents resilience, hope, and the enduring fight for what is right, even in the darkest times. That's who Thundarr is, man. And that's why I mess with Thundarr, man. That's why I've been messing with Thundarr since back in the 80s, man. Like, since it first came out, right? Lion-O, a different kind of cat, literally, like no pun intended, right? He's more the reluctant king, right? That's who he is. He has this great destiny that's laid out in front of him. He's a young leader thrust into this destiny. He's guided by honor, by wisdom, courage. He has wise leadership. He leads with compassion, strategy first. His key traits is that, Lion-O's a solid dude, right? He's honorable, determined, strategic. He's loyal. He's always willing to learn and make himself better. And then he's got a mad crew, man. We talk about Tigra, Panthro, Chitara. You got Wily Cat, Wily Kid. I don't add Snarf in there because I hate Snarf. And his biggest challenges are Mun-Ra, so this like ancient evil, right, that threatens all life on this Thuder, right? And this is a rebuilding civilization. So they are starting the core of a civilization that will rise, a new civilization for them, right? And they understand this, right? So I guess Chitara and Wily Kid, you're gonna be very popular. Everyone's gonna be competing with this girl. So his legacy is that of leadership and growth and power of uniting people to create a better future. That's essentially who he is, right? He-Man is this divine champion, right? He's a chosen protector, empowered by magic, and his destiny is to defend his world. So he leads with strength, but honor, nobility, right? Examples like he protects Eternia and inspires loyalty. He's brave, he's loyal, he's selfless. He has a strong sense of justice and duty. And his homies who he rolls with, obviously Man-at-Arms, Teela, Orko, his little magical wizard, Battle Cat, and like Ram Man. He's up constantly against Skeletor and all his crew. Beast Man, this whole crew. So what he really represents is that power brings responsibility. Because you have this power, because you have leadership, you're responsible for everyone else, right? So he has a big legacy that he's trying to fulfill, and he's very conscious of his legacy as he's going through it, right? So these are three kind of different types, and I think three iconic heroes. Like I said, I still tend to mess with Thundarr's still my dude. Out of all three of these guys, like Thundarr's a dude. Lion-O and Thundercats definitely let me down, and I was never on board with He-Man, but I respect culturally what it was. I respect how influential it was. Like I said, I have friends who had every single part of, that fictional world, like the castle, multiple vehicles, all that stuff. I just wasn't into it. But yeah, that's what they were all about. It was that consumer. It was a great time if you were in the toy making business. So that's what I have for you guys today. I just kind of wanted to get into it. I'll probably kind of break each of these worlds down a little bit more. And I'm definitely going to talk about the 80s more. Like I said, there's a lot of good mythology, like how they reshaped mythology coming into this period of time and coming out of it. So it's definitely going to be a big time to go in and talk about it. So check out the channel. I'll be back on. I'll probably do another Myth Lab. I don't know. Depends if I get a message here. I may have an appointment, but I'll probably do another Myth Lab a little bit later today. I want to drop this on you. As always, hit that like and subscribe. Drop any notes you have on me. If you have some questions you want me to look at, hit me up. I got you.